I sat down to interview, and he basically said, like, you know what? I'm going to take you because you're black. And
not because I'm a good artist,
right? It was
because I'm black,
bro. Like if you could have said anything, that just anything else. It just
thanks. Oh my gosh, Ernest.
Hey.
It feels like 5 years, but it's been almost 2. I haven't seen you since 2020 Fashion Week.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay, so welcome to a new episode of The Life of a Makeup Artist. I have a very special guest here today. Ernest, he is my boo. We met through the camaraderie that you find backstage Fashion Week. And of course, you guys know we are celebrating what I am dubbing Makeup Artist Month. You know, there's always like these days, and there's Makeup Artist Day in November, but you know, I'm extra. So I decided that I needed to make it an entire month and celebrate some makeup artists that I know and love. And I'm like watching you from afar and seeing your growth, like just seeing you be you. I'm like, okay, we need to have a conversation.
Let's talk.
Oh my God, Ernest, how are you?
I'm well. I think, like I say, all is golden. No complaints right now. Things are moving. Right? So.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so I feel like I know you, but you know, we've had conversations. We've spoken on the phone during quarantine. Like we've had our moments, right? But I feel like I don't know you. I feel like there's some secrets. Is there secrets? Okay. But I want to first know, like, how did you get into makeup? Like, how did you even start? I feel like all of a sudden you were there and I was like, oh my God, I love him. We're friends. But like, how did you even get into makeup?
Well, it started originally, I started as a hairstylist in Philly. So I would do hair. I had some friends that were also like in hair school and we were into makeup. We wound up taking a class, just a simple class from some artist that was like teaching classes.
Wow.
And, I kind of figured out how easy it was. Then I kind of got into the idea of getting behind counter, so I just tried to get a counter job, just like, let me just see what this is about.
Right.
They needed like a black guy, I guess, so they just hired me right away.
I should laugh at that. I'm sorry.
Skill.
Like, yeah, it's like,
no skill.
oh
they
God,
just hired me.
like,
So I'm thinking I'm like so special.
I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yep. So it was MAC Cosmetics. That was my first like makeup job. And from there, especially with the training and things of that nature, you just get kind of absorbed in it. And
right.
It kind of became my favorite thing, even though we're doing hair.
Right.
It was a lot easier for me to do.
Right.
For me to kind of manipulate the products. And
yeah.
I just fell in love with that a little more than hair. And I just kind of kept doing it.
So wait, do you still do hair? Do you dabble in it? Because this hair and makeup is such a thing in New York.
Yeah, I used to do both. But as I kind of developed with the skill, I kind of just forgot about hair. There became this moment where I just really didn't want to do it anymore.
Right.
Was doing a little more research on makeup, taking classes on makeup, and I just got basically, you know, taken over by like the makeup and the whole art of it, and yeah.
So you were in Philly. When did you move to New York? Like, when were you like, I need to be in New York? Like, what was that?
It was late 2016. So I think mid 2016, I was doing makeup for a while. 2016
was like yesterday.
I know. So I finally decided, like, you know what? I want to just like go to New York and live the dream.
Wow. So you've been here since 2016 then?
Yeah.
2016.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now you have quite the portfolio, Ernest. You have worked with Karen Nelson, Jordan Alexander, Nike, Pyer Moss.
Yes.
I mean, I could keep going. Your eye work, juicy. The liner, sharp. The skin, glowing. But, you know, like I mentioned, we met backstage on team, you know, Pat McGrath, and you know, that experience, you know, we've learned so much, and it's like an experience of a lifetime. You know, how has your journey changed, or still changing from since, you know, being a staple backstage? I mean, you were at the Met Gala. I need to know the progression because it's everything.
Yeah, well, I'm always a student. I always learn. So even when I know something, I just take I guess the initiative to learn it in a new way. And always learning. So like you said, just mentioning even from working on those teams and working with some of the best artists like in the world.
Right.
From like New York to London, Milan, Paris, and just kind of taking those tips and pointers.
Right.
And really just being a sponge and absorbing everything, not feeling like I know too much.
Right.
Being quiet, but
right, because backstage
it can be very intense.
Yeah, it could be intense.
It can.
But you have, like you said, you have to be a sponge.
You have to be a sponge.
Because if you get worried with everything else, you miss the learning opportunity.
You miss the learning opportunity. You also miss the details that come with, outside of just doing makeup, what keeps you on the team.
Right.
So a lot of times you're being watched.
Right.
For more than just the skill, because it is not necessarily about being the best right away. They just want to see if you're easy to work with,
right,
moldable, if you pay attention to detail, if you listen, things of that nature.
Right.
So it was a lot of that as well, paying attention to those nonverbal cues outside of the skill.
Yeah. I love that. Now, like you mentioned, you've been traveling all over, and I feel like sometimes when people think of like being a makeup artist in New York, it sounds, the life of a makeup artist sounds glamorous sometimes, right?
They think you're
rich. Well, they think you're rich. You saw that meme where there's like somebody's like, I just wrapped a photo shoot, and they're like, he got money.
Yes, I posted that. It's hilarious.
That's so funny.
Yes.
Now, how, like, you're out here, but like, what has been your biggest struggle, adjusting to like this life, like traveling constantly, like I'm sure like making your kit a particular way and learning what's been your biggest struggle, like transitioning into like just traveling and like having a much, busier career?
Well, I mean, to be honest, getting used to actually realizing it's happening.
Right.
Because it went from like really just doing shows and waiting for Fashion Week season.
Right.
And maybe kind of scrounging clients in between that, as to now kind of getting emails and actually saying no to things, which is like, okay, then I make
we're booked.
Yeah, right. Or not necessarily, so I'm sure you understand, not necessarily as being booked, but also just being a little more intentional.
Exactly.
Because you want to go to a certain place. So I know with
you can't do everything. You can't do all the jobs.
Exactly. And even if you can, the ones that you develop into doing things that you want to kind of move your career towards.
Right.
As opposed to just doing everything. And I was given some advice early on to kind of just take everything, which worked, you know, but now it's kind of, I'm scaling.
Right.
I'm trying to,
we get told that a lot, like take everything and then figure it out after.
Yeah. And I'm figuring it out.
Right.
But I think that's the part that it's kind of me getting used to, is the fact that it's actually, I'm getting busy and things.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because I know this part about you. Okay. Now, I have to ask, like, what is, you're a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
How do you stay grounded?
Yeah. Like,
I feel like this industry can be crazy backstage, like it's intense, but you have to know who you are. So I know you have a lot to say on this. You don't have to give us all the tea, but like maybe just a cup of, like, how do you stay like grounded? What's your spiritual practice?
Well, overall, because so many people practice so many different things. Overall, I would just say a good ground and sense of prayer, whatever that may be, whoever that may be too.
Right.
Just kind of having somewhat of a conversation with, I guess you would say, someone other than yourself.
Right.
You want to just talk to the sky, talk to God, whoever, just kind of get that, kind of like that voice that you speak to.
Right.
Just to get a little bit more of a calming effect, or just to kill any anxiety or anything that you might be worried about. Speak to even ancestors.
Right.
Someone that passed away, just kind of speak out and ask for advice, signs, things to just keep you calm. A lot of times you can ask for material things, you can ask for jobs and things of that nature, but if you're not mentally there or ready, it can kind of screw you up. So I always just spiritually make sure you ask for just mental peace and discernment, and that kind of helps me out a lot. I don't really ask for certain things.
Right.
I used to, but now I learned, like, what's coming to me is coming to me. Let me just ask for discernment, ask for just mental clarity, so that I'm making the right moves, whatever that might be. Right. Yeah.
So are you into like full moons and like writing things down?
I love a good full moon. Yeah, I love it. I mean, the moon is beautiful. You can just read up on the different things that come from that, I'm sure. But yeah, I love the moon. I love a full moon, a new moon.
I'm always confused, because it's like waning, this, that. I'm just like, listen, the moon looking nice, I'm gonna take it, whatever it is.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I feel that I have to ask, your skin prep game, your skin, your eyes, everything about your makeup is amazing. But like, what have you been loving lately? Like, what is in your kit where you're like, I need this. Like, this is, like, I need a list. I was going to write a list down. Like, tell me maybe, like, 3 of your products now that you've been grabbing.
Wow, let me think. What am I like? Just like, I have to have it. I don't hate to say it, but I PMG, a lot of PMG. At the end of the day, the foundation, the pencils, even the lipsticks.
Right.
Work is everything. It's
right.
just a really good pigment.
Right.
So that's my favorite skincare. I'm loving, like, most of my skincare does usually involve just like an embryolage, like a really like nice moisturizer.
Right.
But I have been.
Do you find that to be too heavy for some people?
Well, I always just do placement. So depending on the skin, I never just massage all over the face.
Right.
I just go in certain areas where you might need it. But
right.
I always use just embryolage, different creams,
right.
different moisturizers that I use depending on the skin. But I will say honestly, I'm just into moisturizers. I can't say one specifically.
Right.
It's for what person to kind of find for themselves. But I'm really into a lot of really good moisturizers, really good eye creams, things of that nature. Just because at the end of the day, you can use any product. I think it's just about how the skin is going to absorb and receive the product. So I'm really into skincare and skin prep.
Do you use setting spray?
Not really.
Really?
No. Yeah, I don't.
So when you had your client for the Met, which I know we just kind of glossed over, I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
But you don't set makeup with setting spray at all?
Well, you know what? I'll be honest. For that night, we did use a specific setting spray, one that kind of gives an extra hold to the skin, like right after. Just
which one?
We used what is it? Oh crap! I get it from Alcone. I think it's green marble.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, green marble.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, because I'm going to get the name. I'm like, what's the name of it?
It's like
I was suggested it when I was there. They told me to use that. It's the best one.
Wow.
But that's just that night.
Right, because it's like...
It's a red carpet. Once they go, they kind of go.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily be there touching them up. But other than that, I don't use setting mist.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard that a lot of makeup artists skip moisturizer completely when doing stuff like red carpet because, now this is conversation that I've heard, and because they're like, I can't have them look shiny, they have to be matte. Do you subscribe to that?
I'm learning, yeah and no. It depends on, like, the camera. A lot of times, if you know who's going to be there, if you're going to be allowed to even be on like the carpet or where they are, it depends. But I'll be honest, I do like a little dew on the skin, but I do keep it a good satin, or almost close to matte finish, at least in the center.
Okay. It's giving satin skin.
Just because the photo,
expensive.
And the pictures, it's all about the pictures. So the anxiety of just seeing the picture after and making sure everything.
Oh my God, isn't that moment like? That moment is like, I don't know. It's your whole stomach is in your hand.
Yeah. Especially now since COVID, they really don't want makeup anywhere past just the hotel or wherever you do them.
Right.
They kind of just want to go. You can't really go with them. So, yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking.
Right. So, like many, I mean, if not all of us, we know what it's like to not be, as booked or doing the things that we want to do, right? You came here in 2016, you worked your way up, what would you attribute to your success right now? Because like you've been on so many sets, you've been backstage, like, but the trajectory is different for everybody.
Yeah. I think I'm going to just feed off of that. The trajectory is different for everyone. I haven't necessarily, I don't know, I didn't necessarily work so hard to get the things that came to me. They kind of came.
Right.
But I just always made sure I was getting better and better. I'm kind of obsessed with just being perfect.
Right.
With my craft.
I love that.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a problem, but I just always...
You're like, wait,
really
one more.
Right. Or every time I do a job, it could be flawless. And I'm like, oh, I could have did this better. I could have did that better.
I mean, that's good.
I know, but I have
It's like it's also a toxic trait.
I know, because it's like, I never feel like it's good enough, so I'm always wanting to get better and better and better. But when that happens, when I do an editorial, when you do a job where you meet a certain client, it pays off. Cause, I even though some of the clients I work with now, it just came from me doing a job with them.
Jordan Alexander.
Oh, my God, yeah.
You have been having her top to bottom, like, I mean, the clothes, everything else is great. I can't look at anything else but her face.
Oh, wow.
Because it's beat.
No. Thank you.
No, like, I'm just like, first of all, I mean, we know who she is, but then I'm like, when people break up with their boo and they just have a new glow? Yeah. She has that new glow.
Wow, I'm happy to have done that,
You did that for sure. So, okay, I want to ask also, I think we all went through this quarantine phase and the industry like black squares, and us black makeup artists have felt, some type of like change in the industry. Do you personally like feel like those promises are still being upheld? Because I felt like it was like, okay, who's black? Like all of a sudden we get booked. But do you think now, fast forward, almost at the end of 2021, do you think that people are still like going out of their way to make sure that black artists are booked?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to necessarily speak about this as a black artist. Well, of course, I am black. It's obvious.
Right.
But I do speak of this just as an artist in general. It just goes back to, I don't necessarily want to be booked for color, because that can also be, even though it sounds like a good thing, it doesn't feel really good. I've had one person actually book me, and this is a black person, who said, you know what, I sat down to interview, and he basically said, like, you know what, I'm going to take you because you're black. And
not because I'm a good artist,
right? It was
because I'm black,
like, bro. Like if you could have said anything, that just anything else. It just
thanks.
Feel like okay,
this is awkward.
Right, it was very awkward.
Did you even look at my work? Like,
right. So I don't necessarily want to be booked just because I'm black, or if I am booked because I'm black, I would like to be paid double.
Right.
Because I mean that's just like being bilingual, or so that's a note. So if you're going to hire because I'm black, I would like to be paid more, because obviously that is a specific requirement. Right. I don't know. So if me being black over someone else not being black, you should at least double the rate. People get paid more to be bilingual at jobs. So
yeah, I noticed that sometimes. It's like, wait, how y'all only book me when there's black models here? And it's like,
right,
I could do all the skin. Like, I have stuff in my kit that I need to use.
Yeah, and unfortunately that does happen. And it still happens. But like I said, at the end of the day, you want to be that artist that can do everything, and not necessarily have your work be so one-dimensional. You have a lot of artists who say, this is my specific style, and I kind of feel like that's a little toxic as far as trying to really get work, because you want to appeal to everyone.
Right.
Just like music, just like anything else. So
right.
I don't necessarily want to be considered a black artist. I just want to be considered a good makeup artist.
Right.
And then the black will be the little surprise at the end. Like, oh, he's black.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. But still a good artist,
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so what have you been into, like, Ernest? Like, that's not beauty related. Like, what have you been into?
I'm just staying to myself a lot.
I love that. Minding my business.
Staying hydrated.
Moisturize.
Of course, like spiritually sound. Just making sure I'm leveled in my head. Always just praying. Making sure any kind of energy, whether it be my own toxic energy or anyone else's, is at a level where it's not going to affect me.
Right.
So that's where Ernest is right now.
So what do you do when you're not working? Are you home, like, watching Netflix, sleeping? Are you running? Like, do you exercise? Like, what's your vibe?
I have a guilty. I'm a YouTuber, so I'm on YouTube constantly just looking up things.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily watch television or anything. I just have thoughts, and I look up those thoughts. If that makes any sense. Like, does that make sense?
No, yeah. It's like when you up at 2 a.m. and you're like, should I sleep or should I, like, look up how jelly is made? Like, from where, everything. Like, yeah.
From makeup,
everything.
Products, businesses, like, what they're worth. That's also really good to do, too, as artists when you're working for companies or when you're wanting to learn what to charge and things of that nature. Just look up what they're worth and, I look up what they're making.
Oh. Okay. You could afford this.
Yes, exactly. So I am obsessed with that, looking up what net worths are, what people make, and how much I could potentially make working with people. So
that's amazing. That's so smart. I love that. Now, before we wrap this episode, I want to play a game. Are you open?
Oh, my God. Okay, what kind of game?
Okay, so this is this or that. Okay. I'm going to give you 2 options. You have 2 seconds to respond. It's actually 1, but like 2 seconds sounds better.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay.
Right? Okay, you ready?
So I have to say this? Or that?
No, I'm giving you the question. You just answer. Ready?
Oh, my God, okay.
Okay.
All right.
So, New York or LA?
New York.
Primer or no primer?
No primer.
Loose or pressed powder?
Loose.
Throw this brand away. Fenty or Charlotte Tilbury? You have...
Oh, damn. We love Fenty,
Fenty's gone.
We love Fenty.
Okay, so Charlotte.
I'm going to say we love Fenty.
Okay, I got it. Things we don't need another of. Another makeup brand, another skincare brand.
We don't need another makeup brand.
All right. Sage or crystals?
Crystals.
Booked and busy or moderately booked and well rested?
Moderately booked and the second one.
Yes. I love it. You did great. Okay, so we are so proud of you, Ernest. Thank you so much.
I'm proud of you.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Seeing you in billboards.
Oh my God. Don't make me cry on my own podcast.
I won't.
Okay?
I won't.
But, we want to support you. We want to show you some love. How can we find you? What's your Insta?
Yes,
we need to
find me on
you.
Instagram. My Instagram is Ernest, so it's _ERN.3ST. Website is coming. Yes, under construction.
Ooh.
I had one, but I took it down. I didn't feel like it's good. I want to make it good.
Elevation.
And that's how you can find me. You can book me too. It's better3beaut@gmail.com. So you can find that too if you go to my Instagram. Yes.
Yay. Well, thank you, Ernest, for coming by The Life of a Makeup Artist.
Yes, this has been great. I know. It's full circle.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're
Talk
welcome.
to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.